Okay, sorry I'm late. I had to go eat. Um, Here we go. So you had, I think, these questions. So hopefully you got a chance to do it. So let's take this 45. So 45. So again, if you follow that format, and I hate that there's a format, I'd rather you come up with it your own. But if you do this, right, for a two-step equation, it's going to be plus or minus, and then here's going to be your variable, right? Per something times the variable plus or minus the constant equal the total. So if you follow that, I guess you should be okay. So in this case, they charge $100 for the first 500 pieces of mail, and then 10 cents for each additional piece. If a company's total bill for barcoding was 143, how many pieces of mail were barcoded? So I know I paid this much to the company. What I also know is that out of the $143, I paid 100 were for 500 sheets. So I know, because if it were the first 500 sheets is $100, so obviously I have 500 sheets plus some extra, right? So and then I want to know how many extra sheets apart from the 500 I had. So again, that's in dollars, and this is going to be in dollars. And I know that for each extra sheet, and let's call it P for my variable, I paid 10 cents times the extra sheets plus $100 for the 500 sheets. That gave me a total of 143 and 20. Now, I can get rid of my decimals if you like, or you can just keep it like this. Choice is yours. So if I multiply everything by, let's see, if you look at this decimal, there's two decimal places. If you look at this decimal number, there's two decimal places. So you always want to look at the one that has the most. And now, I could have written as 0.1 and 143.2, which we're probably better off. But since I wrote it like this, I'm going to multiply everything by 100. So if I multiply everything by 100, it means move the decimal two places to the right. The number's going to get bigger, right? So this becomes 10p. So I'm going to multiply everything by 100. 100 times 100 is going to be 10,000. And 143.20 times 100 becomes 14320, moving the decimal 1, 2 over. Now I have a two-step equation, right? And what do you call? I don't have any decimals to worry about. So if you do their story, you have a variable p, which is being multiplied by 10, and then added to 10,000. And that equals 14,320. I'm going to do minus 10,000 on each side first, and then I'm going to divide by 10. So let's take care of this. Minus 10,000 over here, minus 10,000 over here. That's going to cross out, so I'm going to have 10p left over equals 4,320. If I divide, now I have to divide both sides by 10, divide this by 10, and then this becomes 1 or just 1p, or just p. And if I divide by 10, I can just, eliminate 1 0 on the numerator and 1 0 on the denominator. I get 432. So it asks for how many pieces of mail were barcoded. Well, this $100 represents 500 sheets, the first 500 sheets, right? Pieces of mail. So I know I had 500 pieces here, plus this, the P ended up being 432. So how many pieces in total? Well, it's 500 plus 432. And that gives me 932 pieces of mail that I had barcoded. Please tell me this being, yes, it is. Okay, so second question. Again, you can follow that format we used up there. And so it's going to be something like this. I don't know if it's plus or minus yet, so I'm going to leave that alone. So it says that he was paid $175,000 a year plus $200 for every hit. Right? He's a baseball player, so every time he hits the ball, he gets $200. And what ends up happening that last year he made this much. So the total is this. So he made $199,000. Isn't that great to make $199,000 for doing something you're good at? So he made that much, and out of the $199,000, guaranteed he made $175,000. So that's what he made. And then he made that. So we know that obviously he hit some balls, right? He made contact with some of the balls, and every time he hit the ball, he got $200. So we got to figure out how many hits he had, because obviously he got more than 175,000, because that's his salary just for being there, and he got extra by hitting balls. So, and here's going to be a variable, and we want to know how many hits. So my unknown is hits, so H. And what do we know about the hits? Well, the hits is 200. Every time he gets a hit, he gets $200. So the variable here is H, and it's being multiplied by 200. We can do our little story. So by now, you should know that we're going to subtract 175 here minus 175 here. If we do that, these two are going to disappear. 200H is going to come down. And if I subtract this, I get 24,000. Divide by 200. Divide by 200. I can cross these two zeros out. Cross two zeros out. Right? Whatever I do to the denominator, I can do to the numerator. And I have 240 divided by 2. This becomes 1, and H equals, and 240 divided by 2 is 120. So he had 120 hits. Okay, so for every hit, he got paid 200. So 120 hits, he obviously made $24,000 just by hitting the ball, and then plus his base salary of $175,000, which again, it's really, I guess, not bad. ISP, Internet Service Provider, charges $10 a month for 8 hours of service. So your first 8 hours is $8. And everything after that is 50 cents. So this goes back to the problem we talked about in class of renting the car. So just to rent a car, not even drive the car around. I guess you have to pay, what was it? I forget, $39.95 or something in class. So here, you're paying $10 guaranteed. So the company's going to get guaranteed $10 for the first 8 hours. And obviously, in a month, you probably use more than that. So again, let's set it up. So in this case, we know that the total that he spent last month was $18.50. Well, obviously, he used 8 hours and more, because if he had only used 8 hours, he would have paid $10. So since he's paying more than $10, he paid $18.50. Obviously, he used more than the 8 hours. So out of the $18.50, he paid $10, right, for the first 8 hours, and we want to find out how many hours above 8 hours he got. So our unknown is hours. Our variable is going to be H, and what do we know? How much is it per hour? And there's a relationship right here. So it's 0.50 cents per hour, plus the $10 that he paid for the first 8 hours is going to give us his bill. So again, you can leave this as decimals if you like. Since we have that choice, I want to get rid of my decimals. So to get rid of decimals, I'm going to multiply by 100, because this has 2 decimal places. This has 2 decimal places. If I multiply by 100, it means move the decimal to the right twice. So this becomes 1, 2. This becomes 50H. 10 times 100 is 1,000. This moves 2 over, becomes 1,150. Subtract 1,000, so make your story if you like. And you are going to end up getting that you have to subtract 1,000 from each side first. These go bye-bye, 50H is left over. And subtract that, you get 850. The second thing you will do is divide by 50. Divide by 50. These two 50 will cancel out, becoming 1, right? And I get H. Let me cross 1, 0, 1, 0. And 85 divided by 5 is 17. So how many hours did he use? Well, he used 8 hours, right, which he paid $10. So this $10 represents the first 8 hours he used. And then how many hours above the 8 hours initially did he use? He used an extra 17 hours. Okay. 48. What is this? Mr. Schroeder has a piano player. His salary consists of $175 a week plus $1.50 for each paid admission. His paycheck last week was $340. So again, what do we know? I know that he got paid $340 last week. Out of the $340, that he got paid $175 just for showing up. Now he gets a little extra depending on how many people come see him, right? So if nobody came to see him, nobody, absolutely nobody came to see him, all he would get that week would be 175. But obviously he got paid more than 175. That means that there were some patrons attending the nightclub. So we need to find out how many admissions or how many people came to the club. So unknown is admissions or people who came to see him, and you can use A or P for people. And what's the relationship here per people or per admission? It's $1.50. So it's $1.50 for everyone that comes inside and sees him play the piano. So that's my equation. Again, there are decimals here, and you know what? In this case, instead of writing 150, I'm going to write 1.5 because it's the same thing. You can leave it like this. You can deal with it with decimals. You're going to eventually have to, change it to a whole number anyway, so you might as well do it now. So there is one number with a decimal, and it has one decimal place. One decimal place means I only need to multiply by 10 to change 1.5, and if I multiply by 10, I get 15, right? 175 times 10, it's going to be 1,750, and 340 times 10 becomes 3,400. Subtract 1,750 from both sides. You're pleased by now. If you make your story, here's your variable A, which got multiplied by 15, adds 1,750, gives you 3,400. Going backwards, you're going to do the inverse of addition, which is 1,750 minus, and then it got multiplied by 15, so I divide by 15 there. So those are the steps you're going to take, the inverse operations you're going to do to solve this problem. So let's do the first one, and we did. This crosses out, and I'm going to have 15a come down. And if I subtract this, I'm going to get, I have no idea, 0, 5, 13 minus 5 is 6, and 2 minus 1, 1,650. Let me take this to the side. Actually, that's a check. Divide both sides by 15. 15 over 15 is just 1, or just 1a. And then 1650 divided by 15. Remind me to get you guys calculators tomorrow. That's 1, 15, 11, 15 is 1 again, 15 is 0, bring that 0 down, and 15 goes into 0, 0 times. So final answer, 110 people. So how many people came to see him last week? 110, and that's why he earned a little bit more than the base minimum, which was 175. So he got 175. Plus 110 people came to see him, and 110 times 1.5 would give us our value of 340 in total. 49. Brady rented a car for 2 days. Didn't we do this problem? And plus 0.15 a mile. His total bill came to 102.50. How many miles did Brady drive? Okay. So there's two parts. So the total here is 102.5. Okay. He rented a car for 2 days at $25. So just for renting the car and not driving anywhere for those 2 days, he's going to have to pay the company $50, $25 for each day. And then, well, he paid $50 for 2 days, and he also obviously drove. And so R known is miles. So what's the relationship per mile that we have? Look, if you look for here, it'll tell you it's 0.15 cents for each mile that he drove. I want to get rid of the decimals. I'm going to multiply everything by 100 because this has 2 decimal places. Okay, so you always multiply by, you always figure out which number has the biggest number of decimal places, and then you multiply accordingly. Each decimal place representing base 10, right? So in this case, 2 decimal places, that means 100. If I multiply that by 100, I get 15 plus 15m. 50 times 100 is 5,000. And 102 times 100, let's move the decimal 2 over. It's going to be 10250. No more decimals. Make your story. You subtract minus 5,000 here, minus 5,000 over here. Cross out. I get 15m left over here. And I'm going to have 5,250 left over here. Divide both sides by 15. And I'm going to get, and then I should find where my calculator is, but I can't, so I'm going to have to do this by hand. So 5250 divided by 15, it's going to be 445, 775, 575. Bring the 0 down, and you have to put a 0 here. So 450. So M equals 450. So how many miles did he drive? What do you call? When he rented a car, he drove a total of 450 miles. Tim pays $7.25 a month for rent. That's really cheap. $40 for cable, $3.60 an hour for local telephone service. His monthly expenses were $826.20. How much did he spend on the phone? Oh my God. Okay, so total $826.2. Okay, I'm not gonna write 20 because that's how much he spent on his expenses last month. What did he spend it on? Well, for sure, part of it was on rent. Check. Part of it was for cable. Check. Guaranteed. And then the other part of it, and if you add 40 plus 725, it's nowhere. Well, it's near 826, but there's still going to be left over. So whatever remained there was spent on the phone. So, but we want to find out how much or how many hours he spent on the phone. So our unknown is H. How much time? Hours. So our unknown is H, and what's the relationship per hour? It's 360. So let me write down 3.6 per hour. So 3.6. for however many hours he spent on the phone, plus $40 for cable, plus $725 for rent, gave him a grand total of expenses of $826.2. So let's find that out. Do I have distributed property? No. Do I have combined like terms? Yes, I can combine these two numbers. So I get 3.6H. 40 plus 725 is 765 equals 826.2. Again, you can tell that I have decimals, so I want to get rid of them. I want to. You don't have to. If you can work with decimals and you're comfortable, please do so. But I want to change this whole equation so it doesn't have decimals. And if I look at my numbers, this has one decimal place, this has none, and this has one decimal place, which means I only need to move the decimal 1 over to change it to a whole number, which means I have to multiply the whole thing by 10. So 3.6 times 10 is 36H. 765 times 10 is going to be 7650. And 826.2 times 10 is going to be 8262 because the decimal moves from here to here, 1 over. No more decimals. Make your story. And you have a variable h was being multiplied by 36 and added 7,650. That equals 8,262. Going backwards, the inverse operation is going to be subtract 7650 here, subtract 7650 here. These two go adios. 36h comes down. If you subtract this, you get 2, 1, and 12 minus 6 is 6, 612. Divide both sides by 36 now. And h equals, I don't know, 612 divided by 36 is 1. 36, 11 minus 6 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2, 252. And that looks like a 7. 742, yeah. 252. So h equals, and this becomes, cross out, right? Becomes h. And 612 divided by 36 is 17. So he spent 40 months, $40 on cable, $725 for rent, and then he spent 17 hours on the phone. And each hour on the phone that he used, he was paying $3.60 per hour. So $3.60 times $3.60 times 17 hours plus 40 plus 725 will give him the grand total of his expenses. Okay. And some of you don't have to continue, but I think 701 you had number 4 to do. 2, 4, no, or yeah, 2. So I'm going to do 2. I don't remember what's 706. So the sum of a number and 2 is 12. The sum is addition of a number n and 2 equals 12. Super easy. Minus 2, minus 2, and n equals 10. So number 2, n equals 10. Number 4, if 2 subtracted from a number, the result's 4. So again, the easiest way to do this is to literally translate under. 2 is 2, Subtracted from is minus. A number is something I don't know, so it's n. The result equals 4. Now, subtracted from the turnaround word, so we're going to switch positions here. So it's going to be actually n minus 2 equals 4. Again, one-step equation now. Plus 2 here, plus 2 here. And n equals 6. 8. Número 8. 3 times, so the sum, so I'm adding two things. Sum is addition, so I need to add this and this. So the first thing is 3 times a number. 3 times a number, so that's one part. And the other part, and 4. 3 times the number, sum, right? And 4 is 19. So this is a two-step equation, right? So again, you can do this. Variable n times 3 plus 4 equals 19. Go backwards, it's minus 4, and divided by 3. So minus 4, 19 minus 4 is 15. This go bye-bye, 3n comes down. 3n equals 15, divide by 3, divide by 3. And n is alone, isolated, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. That was number 5. That was number 8. Number 11. So it gets a little bit harder, but still. So 5 is added to the sum of twice a number and 3 times a number. If 5 is added to the sum of twice a number, so again, added is here, and then we have another added, right? So there's 2 added. So 5 added here and added. So sum, I'm going to add 2 things. Twice a number, which is 2n, and 3 times a number. The result equals 25. So by this case, I need to put a parenthesis here because we're talking about the sum of these 2 items, right? So if I can do a bunch of things here. So 5 plus, and 2n plus 3n is 5n equals 25. N times 5 plus 5 equals 25. Minus 5 divided by 5. So let's do minus 5 here. Minus 5 here. 5n equals 20. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. N equals 4. 12. For 12, it's 5. Less than is minus. 5 less than 2 times a number equals 7. Am I done? No, because it's less than. So I'm going to do 2n minus 5 equals 7. So now, I'm not going to make my story, but I know it's plus 5, plus 5. These 2 go bye-bye, and 2n comes down. Let me write 2n. And 7 plus 5 is 12. Divide by 2, divide by 2. These 2n become 1, and I have n. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. So my other number is 6. And that's it. Very short one today.